But somebody who has managed to make it and somebody we managed to get is the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who has been here and has been through the viewing area. Reverend, thank you for joining us and thank you for taking the time. I know it's a very emotional day for you.
Emotional, painful, gratifying to have known him, to have worked for him, with him. When Dr. King got his Nobel Prize, he referenced South Africa. Getting put on our radar screen at that time. We were fighting apartheid in America, and we were fighting apartheid here. Dr. King and Mr. Mandela went to jail in 1963. We knew about the Rivonia trial and his tremendous arguments, black man in a white man's court. And so we began to follow him, and then we met Oliver Tambo at that time, who was in exile. And one can say that if Sisulu was the producer, Oliver Tambo was the director, and Mr. Mandela was the star. It was always a galaxy of workers in the vineyard. So I find it difficult to separate him from ANC and those with whom he worked to bring about this new day. And then I was blessed to be able to get in here in 1979. By that time in America, we had gotten the right to vote and begun to use our vote to leverage sanctions against apartheid South Africa at that time, and to withdraw funds as a way of a kind of nonviolent struggle to end the barbarism here at that time. So that was a big moment to be here for 17 days, to go to Crossroads, to see children learning to write by marking letters in the sand, to go to the churches, to meet with Archbishop Tutu at that time. Just a tremendous and powerful presence. Archbishop Tutu has meant so much to all of us around the world. And then to go to Port Elizabeth and to go to Durban. We really traveled the country during those 17 days. But the day was dawning. And by 1990, when he was released, I'd gone to Mrs. Thatcher saying, please, impose sanctions. She thought his release was imminent. She would not move. We left and came here and preached at Alan Bozak's church, Reverend Alan Bozak. We left and went to City Hall, and he was released that day. What a great day that was. I mean, what a great day it was. He came walking out of that prison with Winnie Mandela. And I was the first American to meet him at the back door of City Hall in Cape Town. That was a big moment. And he said, Jesse Jackson, freedom fighter. He threw me off because I thought he had been away for 27 years. He would not recognize anybody, but he'd been following a lot of our works, our anti-apartheid works on television. So in some sense, I feel blessed to have known Dr. King and Nelson Mandela in one lifetime during this season of our lives. These two giants pulled down apartheid in America and apartheid here. Both received Nobel Peace Prizes, and both had a moral calling at the end to choose reconciliation over retaliation and to choose redemption over revenge and to go forward by hope and not backwards by fear.
Now, Reverend, like you say, Madiba had been following you. He'd been following your fight by television while he was imprisoned. What lessons did you take from him? You were watching his work, you were keeping tabs on him in all those years. What lessons did you and your followers actually take from our very own Madiba?
Well, Madiba was an educated man. You can't teach what you don't know. He was educated, dedicated, and disciplined. When you think about Oliver Tambo, a trained lawyer, Dr. King, a PhD, Thabo Mbeki, a PhD, it's hard to teach what you don't know and leave where you don't go. They were educated and then focused. This was their primary focus, liberation, not private pursuits, public domain. And then the courage of one's conviction, willingness to suffer for a higher good. Suffering breeds character, and character breeds faith, and faith will prevail. So those are qualities. And then the reconciling spirit. It's often said that when he was in jail, he changed. He didn't change, South Africa changed. He went in jail with a simple proposition, an open, free, non-racist, democratic South Africa. He came out saying an open, free, non-racist, democratic South Africa, where blacks don't have to carry passbooks, blacks, colors, Indians, no passbooks, no degradation. Those in exile can come back home without being arrested, the right to vote, a new constitution, an open, free, fair election. The same demands he went in with, he came out with, and he won. He and his colleagues won that battle. It was at that point people were afraid. What would he do with this power? What would he do with this power? Would he be revengeful? He chose, as a free man, he chose redemption over revenge. He chose reconciliation over retaliation. And that's why this is a growing economy today. There is unfinished business here, as there are in many places. But somehow there's a new and a South Africa full of hope. And to see, I was saying to my son today, and I saw the whites standing in line, weeping. the white police being so respectful. It's because he has set a new air of reconciliation, an air of hope and new possibilities. And I hope that blacks and whites and colors, Indians who've survived apart, will learn to live together. That's his abiding message. We survive apart in our own little boxes, but we learn to live together. And that's the great moment that we're now experiencing. We're learning how to undo many years of bad training, surviving apart, learning to live together.
In that process of learning, I mean, if we look around the world, racism and apartheid still live in many forms in many countries, first world, second world, third world countries.
But we're winning. That's the point, racism and poverty and violence is upon us. But we must be, but our will to outdo racism by being non-racist, our will to fight poverty and not just fight the poor, our will to end war. There's no future in war. So it does not mean these evils have gone away, but we have more tools and more will to fight them. So if if Madiba can stay in jail 27 years for a young person to tell me, Reverend, I'm tired of marching. Tired? You're not marched. You can't be tired of fighting. The fight has not begun. When I was much younger, I thought one day that my children would have to fight the fights I fought. But that's not the goal. The goal is to give them more tools with which to fight the fight. And then when people are changing, the Nazism of Germany, that won't come back. We won that battle. You know, the racism. We made South African racism a pariah state. Now we're making a wholesome state. So it's the battle is not over, but we're winning, and that's another reason why he can have the capacity to forgive.
Yes, Reverend, one last question for you, and very quickly, having seen Madiba when he came out of prison, the giant of a man he was, and having walked through there now and seen him lying in state, just your feelings at that moment.
Well, to see him so still, so quiet, so at rest, asleep. I can only say he's freed a lot of people. But having watched him be so full of life and vitality, to watch him asleep still hurts.
Thank you very much. And of course, I'm sure the feelings many people are feeling today, Joanne, is the hurt that everyone is feeling today, seeing Madiba as he lies in state. The Reverend Jesse Jackson on his experiences with Madiba and his experience today, seeing him lying in state.
Know more about your world.
ENCA.com